factor this expression, which is 27w squared minus 12. Right off the bat, what do we notice about this expression? Alan? There's no middle term. Very good. So we already know we're going to use Mr. Yurko's cheat code, okay? And we're going to set up two parentheses, right, with a plus and a minus. But when we look at this, when we look at the 12, is there something that we can square to give us 12? No. Is there something we can square in 27? No. So this is why I wrote that hint. We have to take something out before we can do what we need to. What is a greatest common factor between 27 and 12? Carlos? 3. Very good. So let's pull out that 3. Awesome. 3 times, oh, hold on. There we go. 3 times what? If we take out a 3 of 27w squared, what's remaining? Elijah?
9 plus or minus 4.
Okay, 9, but don't forget the w squared, right? And then you're absolutely right. We take out that 3 from the 12, and we're going to get minus 4. Excellent. Okay, now, is 9 something squared? What is it? 3 times 3. Is 4 something squared? So we can use my awesome method, right? We can break this up into 2 parts. The first one's going to have what? And the second one's going to have a minus. 9w squared is what times itself? 3, not just 3 though, w. So we break 3w twice. And 4 is what times itself? 2. And if I told you I'm missing one small, minor, little detail that makes a very big difference, what am I missing? Ah, the 3. Elijah did all that work to pull out the 3. We cannot forget about it, okay? I am completely done at this point. Now, someone tell me, why was this one different than the ones that we did yesterday? Roy?
Because you couldn't just split it immediately.
Correct. We couldn't split it immediately. Why couldn't we split it immediately?
Because there's no thing we can square to like make 27 times 12.
Correct. These were not perfect squares. If those were perfect squares, then we would be like, okay, we got this, 2 parentheses, plus, minus, figure out what the square roots are. In this case, we had to yank out that 3 in order for it to look the way that it did. Then we got a 9 and we got that 4 and we're like, oh, now we see it. Now it's 3 times 3 will give me 9 and then the 4 is 2 times 2. Okay? Alan, you got any questions?
No.
Ashton, you got any questions? Nope? Okay. Lesson 8.8, factoring by grouping. Go ahead and copy down the lesson, the name of the lesson, and that first example. Okay. All right, so in this first example, okay, you'll notice that 3n cubed minus 12n squared plus 2n minus 8. Guys, right off the bat, how does this one look different than what we've seen in the past? Roy? There's 2 minus signs. What else? Carlos?
The 3n is cubed.
The n is cubed, right? We've really only dealt with n squared so far. And what else is different? Elijah? There's 4 terms. Very good. Okay. Whenever there's 4 terms, okay, this is how we are going to tack every single expression with 4 terms. You're going to draw 2 parentheses around the first 2 and around the second 2. Okay. From there, you're going to pull out the greatest common factor from each. So remember when we did this, when we were factoring regular 3-term expressions, right? where we take A times C, figure out the common factors, and then we would add them together to give us B, and then we would split B up, right? And then we would group it. You're just gonna start immediately with those 4 terms, you're gonna group them, okay? The greatest common factor in the first one is this 3n squared, and the greatest common factor in the second one is the 2, okay? Now I'm always gonna give you problems where these parentheses are going to match, okay? When they match, all you do is you do the exact same thing. You combine the outside portions, the 2 and the 3n squared, to give you one factor, which goes down here, and then you use the second factor inside the other one, okay? Now, we'll do one together, which is in purple, so go ahead and copy down the purple example, and we'll walk through it from step 1 to the last step all together, okay? This second one was 8t cubed plus 20t plus 14t squared plus 35. Now guys, in this one, okay, I'm gonna tell you this, it's very important that everything is in order. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the purple one is not in order. Can anyone tell me, what do I mean by that? It's not in order. Roy?
The degree.
Very good. What's out of order? Tessa?
The 14 is supposed to be like second.
Very good. These two are mixed up. Do you guys see that? The 14t squared needs to come before the 20t, right? Because in my first one, I went n cubed, n squared, n, and then no n, right? It needs to be in the same order for this one. So let's reorganize it. Let's write it as 8t cubed plus 14t squared plus 20t plus 35. Did I change anything, or did I just move stuff around? Just move stuff around. I didn't change the value of anything, okay? Now, since there's 4 terms, every single time, guys, you're going to group them. So put parentheses around the 8t cubed and the 14t squared, the first 2 terms, and put parentheses around the 20t and the 35. Now, guys, what we have to look for is what is the greatest common factor between 8t cubed and 14t squared. 8t cubed and 14t squared. Roy, what do you think it is? 2, and what else?
2t.
2t.
No, 2t squared.
Ah, 2t squared, okay? It's 2t squared because this is cubed, right? So we can pull out t squared. And this is squared, so we can also pull out of t squared here, okay? If it was just t, we could not pull out t squared, okay? You have to go by the smallest exponent. So in this case, if we pull out a 2t squared, what's going to be remaining in our first term?
4t.
Good, 4t is our first term, and our second term is 7. You can always check this, guys, by going back, right? So let's say, oh, I'm not sure if I did this right. Take the 2t squared and multiply it by the 4t. 2t squared times 4t. You should get 8t cubed. 2 times 4, and then t squared times t. I'm going to get 8t cubed. Is that what I started with? Okay, so I know I factored it correctly. I'm going to take this portion and move it over. I actually don't know how to do that. Maybe this? Whoopsies. Okay, I'll figure it out later. My second terms. So this is going to be plus. What can I pull out of a 20t and 35? Someone other than Roy. Does anyone see what's a common factor between 20t and 35? Carlos? 5. Excellent. If we pulled out a 5, what would we have left over? Alan?
14.
Mm-hmm. And?
7 plus 7.
Good. How do I know I did it right? What's the same?
The inner part.
Very good. The inside of my parentheses is both 4t plus 7. Once we have that, we can write our final answer, okay? Our final answer is going to be two things multiplied by each other. And what are those two things?
Probably.
Nope.
I mean, plus sign and minus.
Nope. That was for when we didn't have a middle term, right? This is factoring by grouping. Go ahead, Carlos.
It's gonna be, on the first parentheses, you're gonna have 2t squared and plus 5.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second parentheses, you're gonna have 4t plus 7 is t squared, right? Did it turn out?
Nope. So remember, when we are factoring by grouping, right? All we take is the two portions that are outside the parentheses, just like you did, and we write them in our first one, right? And then we take one of inside the parentheses and we write it as the second term.
So the second one just stop at the two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You good, Rioni? And number 2. Go ahead and copy down number 1, and then we'll do that one together. Okay, let's check it out. So, how many terms are there, Angelina?
4.
There's 4. So, right off the bat, we know we must be doing what? What do we call this when I write those parentheses?
Distributed.
Nope. What was this lesson called? Grouping, okay? We are grouping them together. So we're grouping the first two together, and we're grouping the second two together. Okay, now we have to find something that we can pull out of 4q to the 4th and 8q to the 3rd. Tessa, what do you think it is?
Is it 2?
Good. 2. And what else?
2 and 4. 4. 2 times 2.
Oh, okay. What is 2 times 2?
4.
So instead of writing the 2, let's write a 4. Let's pull out a 4. And what else, guys? Ashton? Q. Just 1? To the 3rd power. Very good. Okay, when we pull out 4q to the 3rd, what's my new first term? Carlos?
It's gonna be q.
Excellent, just q. And the second term?
It's gonna be 2.
Good. Q minus 2. In my second term, remember, we have to make these match up, right? So we want that to look like q minus 2. What can I pull out from the second set of terms? Tessa?
Can you put like a 2 also?
A 2 as well? Okay, let's pull out a 2. Is that the greatest common factor though?
What about 6?
6 is bigger. There's one even bigger that we can pull out of both. 12. Right? Aren't they both divisible by 12? So let's pull out a 12, and what else? There's something else that we're missing. Alan? Nope.
Wait, Q.
Q. Let's pull out a 12q from each. What's going to be left over in the first term? Carlos?
Q.
And the second term?
It's going to be
12?
Yeah.
24 divided by 12 is 12?
Oh, wait, yeah.
2. Does it match?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's rewrite it in factored form. Any volunteers? Alan, go for it. Mm-hmm.
So 4q minus plus 12q parentheses, and then the q minus
Good. Excellent. Okay. Now, if I told you we're not done because something else can still be factored, what do you think I mean by that? Carlos?
The first parentheses, because there's still, that they can still be like, the 4 is a square.
Ah, the first parentheses. I like where you're going. Okay, can we pull a common factor out of the first parentheses, guys? What is it? 4. And what else? Q. What's remaining after we pull out a 4Q from the first parentheses? Alan? Mm-hmm. And? Good. Can this be factored anymore? No. So some of these problems, guys, at the very end, after you've grouped it, after you've factored everything out, there's going to be something else you can pull out. Here is the second one. 6h to the 4th plus 9h to the 3rd plus 12h squared plus 18h. Elijah, how many terms are there? There's 4. So what do we need to do, Ashton? When there's 4, what do I always do?
I forgot what it's called, but
Oh, we just talked about it.
I know what to do. We're supposed to, so the first time, is this, find the factor.
Yeah, but before we even do that, Maya, do you remember what we do?
You print it's like 6HQ.
Yep, we have to pull something out, but before we do that, what do we do on all the problems? Tessa? Group them, very good. We group the first 2 together and we group the second 2, okay? That is all today's lesson is about grouping them, okay? So let's group the first 2, and Maya brought up, okay, we can pull out something from the first 2. What can we pull out from the first 2, Maya?
The 6HQ and
6h cubed,
and parentheses.
okay? What's remaining after we pull out 6h cubed?
The 9H. Oh, I think it's
So remember, technically, Maya, we're saying, okay, what's 6h to the 4th divided by 6h cubed? What do we have left over?
I can't do my math.
Ashton?
Yep, H.
Okay, just h remaining. Now we're going to run into a little bit of an issue because 9 is not divisible by 6.
I don't think it's supposed to be 6. I think
So
it's
let's
supposed to be 3.
let's pull out, yes, it is supposed to be a 3. Why, Carlos?
Because 9 isn't divisible by 6, and there's a 6 in both of them.
Correct. So instead of h, what are we going to have for the first term?
Then you have 3h plus,
3h?
no, 2h plus 9h to, yeah, plus, right? Plus 3.
Yep. Plus 3. There we go.
I don't say, I just.
And the second term, or the second set of terms, what can we pull out of each of those? Tessa, do you see it?
After the line, like a 6,
A 6, but not just a 6.
H,
6H. And we're going to get what 2H plus 3. Okay? Now, those of you that are still a little bit confused when we're pulling these things out, right? Just think about it. Okay, what multiplied by this and by this would give me the exact same result? And 6H times 2H is going to give me this 12H squared. And 6H times 3 will give me the 18H. Okay? You're taking something out in terms of like what is going to be divisible into both of them. It's your greatest common factor. Okay? So as soon as we pull that out and both of our parentheses match, let's rewrite our solution. So this is 3H cubed plus 6H. What's outside the parentheses, and then we write what's inside multiplied by it. So 2H plus 3. Now, again, we're not done. Why are we not done? Ashton?
Because of the H cubed.
Very good. The 3H cubed and the 6H. There's a common factor there. Does anyone see what it is? Carlos?
It's 3.
Not just 3.
Oh, 3.
3H. So if we pull out a 3H from the first two terms, what's remaining? Carlos?
H squared plus 3. Okay. Wait, no, 6. I don't think I read 9. I think it's 8.
Are we done now?
Yes.
Booyah. Box that in, and this is the end of your notes.